Okay, here I go again. Um, what has happened? It's horrible. Let me identify sin that I'm talking about. I know that. Okay, well, let me start at the beginning. This is specifically because of what happened in the presidential election, where the Democrats chose voter fraud to to win the election. Um, so let's start there. The sin of doing anything to win. Right now, there's, um, you know, differences of opinion. What I think of is not what other people think of. But what we're trying to get to is a point of social organization where society functions and no one is harming anyone. When you take the American political process and cheapen it to the point of voter fraud, you're destabilizing society. You are people cannot, as it is. People don't believe in anything anymore. People don't respect police or doctors or lawyers or anybody else or clergy people or media people. It is not that you have to respect them. Is that in order for there to be societal stability, there needs to be cooperation among the members. And what we're trying to do is establish the rules that govern all our behavior so there is a safe and stable society where we can all work and play. It is very dangerous. One, uh, the Democrats have been pushing homosexuality, abortion before birth and after birth, drug use. Homosexuality is dangerous to society because they don't stay in their own neighborhood. They want to entice and seduce other impressionable children. Now, I'm not going to argue right or wrong. God says it's an abomination, and it's an abomination. The sin of drug use. You're the people who are highly addicted to dangerous substances are very dangerous to society. They lose touch with reality. They're violent, aggressive. They harm people, plain and simple. Not to mention, let's take a simple example as somebody who smokes 30 years of their life gets cancer of any form and ends up in the government hospital where you and I are having to pay for it. That's harming me. That's harming you. See, part of the societal order has to take into account who's in charge. Politicians at all levels have forgotten that they work for the people. The people do not work for them. They're supposed to use common sense and discretion and reasoning in figuring out what is a correct policy. Many times, the person or the persons involved in political public policy should turn to the person asking for something and say, "I'm sorry, that's not within the authority of the government. This benefits you. This helps you compete against that company, but it's not in the best interest of the members of society because it's going to cost them taxes and it's going to put pollutants into the environment. It's going to subject them to dangerous individuals." So no, and those elected officials should know that. Um, Abortion. Someone that I have no more respect for said that we're going to become a culture of death. People who don't practice family planning, life planning, who don't understand their economic situation, who are just living without thinking about the consequences of their behaviors are harming me because I have to work 3 times as hard to pay the taxes to pay for their children. Not against children. Children shouldn't suffer. We should help those who need honest help. But the politicians have created a system where they have a whole bunch of people addicted to government money, and those individuals are drugging and alcohol and sexing and living very irresponsible lives, and that does not contribute to social order. So when we're talking about what just happened, politicians who are making people dependent on government, making people mentally unfit, making people dangerous, making people with bad attitudes, making people with bad natures, have just taken over the American government. And it isn't uh, let's win. That's not their attitude. Their attitude is let's beat down our enemies. And their enemies are Christians. Their enemies are people who don't want to fornicate, who do life planning. Their enemies are hardworking, responsible members of society. Those people are now in charge of the government. The people who prefer the individuals I call Slobs, and many will. You gotta be kidding me. Okay, is it working or is it okay? It appears to still be working. Okay, those of us who don't believe in fornication and who do practice life planning and are productive members of society. I paused there because I looked at my computer and it was frozen. It wasn't working. But this is important. I don't want to live under the social organization of homosexuals. I don't want to live under the social organization of abortionists. I don't want to live under the social organization of alcoholics and drug addicts. Why should I be working to pay for them? But now it's an animosity. It's a hatred from the liberal Democrat communists towards free people. We don't work for them. Regardless of political party, the free people do not work for them. And everybody should be responsible. Everybody should be self-reliant, looking for a way to make an income, to take care of their life. Everybody should be doing that. So what does Mr. Trump have to do? Well, when this is done in secret and is done to a level that to get somebody to come out and say something, to find the evidence, to overturn this election, it's going to be hard. Um, my advice to Donald Trump is that a lot of people love you. Don't go right down the road of hatred. You still know the right way. You still know freedom. You still know independence. You still know liberty. You still know that the country is of the people, by the people, for the people, not a whole bunch of arrogant, uh, evilly motivated uh, politicians who need to get even with those who don't believe with that, like they believe. You can be a very strong voice. In fact, you're a lot more powerful now because you can speak freely. You can continue to speak with people who supported you and who know you won. You're going to do everything possible within the court system, within criminal investigations to find out where the fraud was and to try to overturn this fraudulent election. Okay. But when you come out of it in a good spirit. Come out of it in a positive way. Come out of it understanding that there are still people out there who do not want to finance all the crazy ideas these communist Democrats are going to come up with, like Obamacare. I mean, in talk shows, in people who are respected, I was hearing uh, individuals, not the hosts, but individuals that they put a spotlight on, saying that they needed to send all Trump uh, supporters to re-education camps. I believe in Trump's immigration policy. I believe in his tax policy. Businesses are not there to finance your life. You cannot mess with the free enterprise system. You cannot mess with commerce. You cannot mess with private industry. As much as we all hate what they do, that's what laws are for. That's what you and I are for. You are they and I are here to say they're behaving immoral. We're not going to purchase their products. That's what you and I are here for. And but if you start robbing them, don't have money to conduct business. Not to mention, they're gonna leave your ass. I would. If I owned a major corporation and this government decided that 90% of my income needed to be taxed, or my company income needed to be taxed, I'm out of here. What are you gonna do? You cannot force me here. You can't hold me against my will. And I tell you, could hold me against my will. You can't force me to stay open, to keep my business open. I mean, and so how's it supposed to work? Everybody being personally responsible, self-reliant, using life planning, thinking before acting, thinking about children before having sex, thinking about sexually transmitted diseases before having sex, thinking about cancer before you're smoking every day of your life, 6 packs, you know, uh, driving a motorcycle without a helmet, fine, perfect. But when you wreck and your brains are all over the sidewalk, you're going to end up in a government hospital and they're going to try to put you back together at a very high price. That's costing me money. So it's not just you being free in the air riding your motorcycle. You're going to cost your neighbor money when you're in an accident. No, when you're in an accident, motorcycle, period, you're going to be destroyed. If you survive, you're lucky. Either way, there's not going to be a sign on you that says, oh, take me to the private hospital and here's my private insurance. You know, I mean, it's irresponsible not to do life planning. It's irresponsible to just be out there, a leaf in the wind, being blown one side to another, getting pregnant, and then running to the welfare office so your neighbor can pay your bills. That is rather irresponsible. And you cannot maintain, unity for what? As long as you believe I'm going to take the worst of you, as long as you believe in abortion, those of you who do, we cannot have anything to do with one another. And your sin is so morally egregious that I have to fight you. The injustice of voter fraud has to be fought. Has to be. We cannot, we cannot just walk away disappointed, depressed, feeling awkward, feeling like fools, losers, feeling like losers. We can't. We have to stay in the fight. I am going through some very personal psychological traumas. I was ready just to try to rest for whatever time I have on planet Earth. But I consider this so serious that here I go again. More videos, more articles. And not because I think anything can be done. They're not going to, crazy Biden and crazy Harris are not going to watch this video and say, well, we're wrong in getting these hardworking, productive members of society to pay all these taxes for our foolish policies. They're not going to come to that attitude. They don't have that mindset. They don't have that awareness. They could care less about that awareness. All they care about is control, power, ruling our lives. And it's supposed to be a government that serves the people, not the other way around. We're not supposed to be making them rich. We're not supposed to be making them fat. They're just there for very simple administrative duties. To keep peace among the states and to defend the nation. Very simple. I mean, when you're in $30 trillion national debt, you're in a serious problem. You're going to want to spend more money. You're going to want to spend more of my money. So something has to be done, and unfortunately, they're going to push it, and they're going to leave people with very little choices. If they decide, I mean, we got till January 20th to plan. That's what you got. You got 3 months to plan for these idiots to decide that everybody has to stay home for 14 days. Everybody. If I'm out of an income for 2 days, that's it. I'm busted. I'm broke. I got no resources to live off of. And there's people who already have been ruined economically. The city where I live, a lot of people, businesses they've been put out of business. That was not that's not the contract. You don't get a business license, so the jurisdiction, the legal jurisdiction, can use that against you. You paid your money. You have the legal right to operate. Why trust? Why should anybody go get a business license? Operate in the underground. Why are you paying for a liquor license? Why are you paying for a business license? Why are you paying taxes to the state? If whenever they want to, they can turn around and shut your business down and put you out of business and make you a poor person and make it so your children are starving. That is just a sick mindset that they're not going to be respectful of the people who pay the bills, of the business owners who pay the bills, and of the individuals who pay the bills. If you care so much, start a nonprofit. If you care so much, start a nonprofit and go help people that way. See if other people, if you can get other people to think the way you think. Other than that, leave my money alone. I'm working hard enough as it is just to get by, and more Obamacare. I was being robbed by the insurance company I was paying money to. Well, it was $250 a month, so that's 12,500. Is that correct? No, that's excuse me, that's 25, close to $3,000 a year for me, an individual, with a deductible of $6,000. So before they were going to pay a penny, I would have to have spent $9,000. I could have spent less than that and not given them $200 a month. It's very important. It's very serious. It's a very dark time. I was having enough trouble trying to find something to smile about, something fun to enjoy, and that was just my personal life. And now the country's under this dark cloud of this Democrat communist garbage. I have no respect for any of you who supported foolish Biden and foolish Harris, doing away with Trump's tax cuts. Now we're going to have an open immigration policy where anybody and everybody can come in. Where does that money come from? You're going to have every freak of society wanting to get theirs. Their free drugs, their free abortions. Trying to live off of every hard-working, productive member of society. There cannot be unity. Divisiveness is a sin. You can have private sin. I don't care what you do in your home. But when you're sin, you're trying to wrap public policy around your sin, you want to be out there parading, letting everybody see what you're doing. And I see those pictures of those homeless people rolling around on the ground, their own urine, their own excrement. What a waste of a human being. But I cannot have sympathy for that person because I know that drug addiction was highly responsible for it. Not just, there's some cases of mental health illnesses. There are some cases of mental health illnesses. A lot of that, however, is drug use, is bad attitude, bad nature, poor life planning, convincing yourself that life is hard, that life sucks, that you're just going to give into it, and you're going to stop working, and you're going to start drinking, and you're going to start drugging, and every other sensual pleasure. And before you know it, you have become an animal. That's the word that fits, animal. The sad part is that you expect us to pay for you. What's happened is serious. It needs to be answered. We cannot just walk away. I would like to live my life trying to just relax from all the stress, but this is so serious that I have to offer some perspective. The perspective is the war between good and evil. The people who don't practice life planning, who don't make sure they're making enough before they have children, who are out there drugging and drinking and fornicating and causing themselves. It is sin to cause yourself a whole bunch of problems and then expect your neighbor to pay for it. Your neighbor shouldn't feed your children by force. You should be responsible for your children. You should be responsible for your life. You should be working for your life. I shouldn't be working for your life. That's sin. And when the politicians are using that, and they have a whole bunch of people addicted to government dependency, the hardworking, productive members of society have to fight. And we have to fight because you cannot trust government anymore. You cannot trust a fair and free election. If they're going to resort to voter fraud, you cannot trust a fair and fair election. And if they did it today, they're going to do it again. And all that's going to get into office is representatives of the slobs. And it's screw you, hardworking, productive members of society.